When Kingdom Hearts 3 was released, I was in a really dark place. The world had failed me, and I was trying to pick up the pieces that were left behind. Kingdom Hearts is a fanbase that I loved when I was a kid, and it became very important to me when I was a teenager. After all these years, after I lost someone, after I couldn't afford to finish college, after moving from place to place, aimlessly drifting for a long time, I was back to where everything started. I was at a dead-end job, and I had moved back to my hometown. So when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, it was a very weird time for me, and I was very excited for it. It had been years since I played through all the games. The last physical game I ever bought was Kingdom Hearts 2.5 for PS3, and that was back in 2014, 5 years before Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. The wait everyone had for this game was a very, very, very long time. If you didn't play Union Cross, we didn't get new content for Kingdom Hearts for 7 years. So there was a lot of hype, too much hype. And when the game was released, a lot of people didn't understand the story. Most of the story was in spin-off games or mobile phones. And if you weren't a big Kingdom Hearts fan, you were gonna have a bad time. But surprisingly, more than anything, a lot of people played Kingdom Hearts 3. Maybe more people than people who played any of the games in the franchise. So it came out. And for a week straight, I would play it, go to work, play it, go to work, and play it. And I loved it. I was hooked. Kingdom Hearts 3 was a miracle, a Herculean task that no one should have ever been able to pull off. When it first released, it was fighting against the biggest hype a video game has ever come up against. And somehow, miraculously, it managed to combine 20 years of game mechanics, switch engines, take Disney 3D models and convert them to Unreal Engine, teach seasoned developers how to modernize, create the biggest levels it had ever seen, built an entire pirate simulator, and end 5 different storylines, all while explaining 20 years of the most complicated lore ever consumed. In a single game, it had to do all of these things. So many more people were returning to the franchise that would never understand even 0.1% of its beauty. So, as to be expected, many people's expectations crumbled from their lack of patience and understanding. So much so that it could pull the stars from the sky and envelop all of reality under its weight. Meanwhile, I was playing the game and having a blast. Every step forward, I was getting closer and closer to the end of a franchise I had loved since I was a kid. Imagine if Avengers Endgame was 40 hours long, and you found out about it when Iron Man was released. That's a ridiculous amount of hype. I hoped desperately that Disney was going to actually do something new. I really thought deep in the back of my mind that they might actually make Sora and Riku gay. After playing Dream Drop and seeing many moments where things seemed kinda gay, I couldn't believe the game was so fun, and it was everything I hoped for. But deep down, when Sora appeared from the sky and saved Riku, for a second, I almost thought there's no way. Will they actually have a gay romance at the center of a Disney game? That's impossible. But part of me, in the back of my mind, had hope. After the multiple planned free DLCs and many repackaged packs of all the games, Kingdom Hearts 3 is now considered a masterpiece. A game that feels almost too big. Levels that go on forever, where you actually enter shots from Disney movies and interact with the real 3D models from the movies. That's actually Elsa and Anna, and that's really Big Hero 6. There's lore so deep that every level there's a new fantastic revelation hidden in every line of dialogue. Kingdom Hearts 3 is a game about endings. From drifting slowly away from your pals in 100 Acre Wood, speedrunning through the end of the Pirates franchise, rescuing and resurrecting Baymax's original body, helping Sully bring Boo home, playing through the entirety of Frozen and Tangled, and exploring a digital laboratory world from Toy Story that hints at the future of Kingdom Hearts 4 being insane as fuck. Kingdom Hearts 3 was so difficult a task to create, I tend to forgive it for being as messy as it was in the beginning. There was so much exposition to give out. And yes, there are a few egregious writing moments in this game, where they force Riku, Mickey, and Yen Sid to constantly talk their asses off. But despite the long exposition scenes, you feel compelled to finish it, so you can see how 20 years of games actually end. There are 13 villains returning from the past, all of your favorites, 7 heroes who have to reintroduce themselves, and they throw in some princesses as backups. It's a lot to keep track of. And throughout the entire game, we get the Wayfinder trio constantly being mentioned. Hidden between levels, there are multiple betrayals and double crosses that set up the return of the Sea Salt trio from 358. We even get a hidden mystery about Dark Riku, where we are tricked into thinking he's a younger Riku who has time traveled, when it is painfully obvious that Dark Riku is Replica. Kingdom Hearts 3 is the end game of video games. It managed to combine all these disparate stories and give you a finale where you fight 3 bosses at a time, fighting alongside each trio. You beat the lore piñatas until they give you all the candy. You confront the greatest villains in the franchise, and you finish each and every storyline in the most beautiful way possible. At the end of the game, you fight every bad guy at the same time. You fight in the dreamt up ruins of the ancient past from the mobile games. There is so much lore in this game that they invented an entire language and graffitied it all over a level that you don't even get to explore in the main game. That's a level of detail that is beyond people's comprehension. But when I first played through it, suddenly everyone died, and Riku sacrificed himself for Sora. I was awestruck. I didn't want to go to work. I had to know how it ended. I was a grown 25-year-old man sitting on the edge of my seat. But then it happened. The moment where I thought Kingdom Hearts failed me, where emotions I held deep inside me that I didn't even know existed anymore almost destroyed the game for me. After Sora stitched himself together, he went to the top of Olympus and he saved Riku's soul. It was beautiful. I actually believed for a moment that I was seen, that after 10 years of being told that I was insane, after being disappointed by the real world so many times, suddenly Kairi and Sora flew through a tunnel of light holding hands, and it was revealed that she was the reason Sora survived. She was holding him together with her love. That was supposed to be a tender moment for Sokai fans, for people who have seen the love between Kairi and Sora throughout all these games. Some believing that it's the love of siblings, some believing that it's a romantic love. But for me, it began to crack my expectations. What was Riku's sacrifice for then? I thought it was a bit weird and out of place. But not soon after, I got to see the end of every other trio's story, and it was beautiful. But back in my mind, I was thinking, something is off. Suddenly, Kairi was killed, and Sora was so angry. We entered into Xehanort's heart in the most epic finale boss battle I've ever seen. Xehanort and Ericus went to gay anime heaven together, and I fought Xehanort and I saved the universe. But all I could think about was, did Riku's sacrifice mean nothing? Kairi is the reason Sora's alive. That's what they just told me. And at the end of the game, Sora looked out at all his friends and said, "My journey started when I lost her." And then Riku looked at him and said, "His heart and his mind are made up. Now believe in him." Everyone got a happy ending, but Sora was gone. He vanished, sacrificing himself off screen for Kairi, creating a whole new trope where it's no longer bury your gaze, it's now die for your girlfriend. And that was it. I didn't play the post-game stuff back then. The DLC wasn't out yet, and there was no critical mode. And I felt hollow, heartbroken, confused, weirdly angry. Somehow, yet again, I had gotten my hopes way too high. And the most terrible of things that can happen to a fan of something happened. I was disappointed. I felt like I always was. It wasn't about the story or the gameplay, but the way I expected it to be. Just like every Star Wars fan ever, I ruined it for myself. A few years later, after talking about the games and reminiscing on a completely different YouTube channel than this one. I even made a video about every single game. And I had no idea what I was talking about. I was just making random YouTube videos, trying to figure out my style. I talked about video games, I talked about movies. I realized that if I talked about any media other than video games, it would get copyrighted and I would never be able to put it out. But there was a lot of pent-up emotions in the back of my mind. So in about 5 hours, I threw together the fastest video I had ever made. The emotions just poured out of me. It mattered so much, but I couldn't put that video on my channel. This was a video about Riku, about how disappointed I felt and how I ruined my favorite franchise because I shipped some characters. That's cringy as hell. That's borderline unhealthy. So I put it on my B channel, Baloney, a place where I put videos I did just for fun. Videos I thought no one would watch. Videos that were just for me. And suddenly, it got more views than any video I'd ever done at that point. So many people told me about fan theories and translation errors, and they pointed to 7-hour essays about how Riku's gay and why it matters. Multiple part series about the sleeping realm theory and the deeper lore of Kingdom Hearts. And I felt like I finally found people that understood how it felt back then. After 2 years of making other videos and coming back to Kingdom Hearts essays, kicking and screaming at the top of my lungs, I have now made over 70 videos about Kingdom Hearts, and I absolutely love it. Do I wish my other stuff was as good and successful? Yes. Will I continue to make other stuff on other channels that's nothing like this at all? Yeah. But now that I have streamed every game in the franchise twice, starting last summer and ending right now, I think I should talk about Remind. After they somehow managed to give us the gayest moment in all of Kingdom Hearts with the gay blade and the beach scene, and the straightest moment of all of Kingdom Hearts when Kairi and Sora flew through the tunnel and Sora yeeted himself to save her, they still left room for fan men and fan women and fan non-binary folk to cut each other's throats and make 7-hour videos and 90-page documents about the lore, how it all makes sense, and Riku is gay anime Jesus, here to free us from our heteronormative hellscape, and Kairi is the Antichrist that Nomura secretly wanted to burn in a pit of fire. How, according to some, the game was mistranslated and re-edited on purpose in order to play down the gay by an incredibly conservative organization that hates gay people and donates money to the Heritage Foundation, while at the same time, the game was forced out before it was even done cooking. While Remind was here to explain everything that we missed, how the Sleeping Realm theory is almost completely right. It would confirm and deconfirm every fan theory in existence. It was the greatest moment for every Tumblr girl in 2013. And for some reason, me. And it explained what happened to Sora off screen. It was a way to fix all the things that they didn't have a chance to finish. Kinda like how Ruin fixed Security Breach. This DLC was a way of apologizing for the messiness of the release of Kingdom Hearts 3. Some say it was planned ahead of time, and if it was, that's annoying because the shit that happens is amazing, and it should have been in the main game. And if it wasn't planned ahead of time, it's a very good apology. The DLC is insane, giving us a Back to the Future style story where Sora uses time travel to enter into the 7 Guardians' hearts, to play as all the other characters, and fill in the gaps of the story so that he can bring Kairi back from the dead. We get so many beautiful, delicious fan service moments. Characters get to interact who never interacted before. We see moments from scenes we missed that clarify and clean up a ton of lore. Vanitas saying that he is darkness and that he was never connected to Ventus and he was lying to him the whole time. And then 2 seconds later saying all the shit he says in 3 about how they're connected and they're brothers. And you're like, what? We play as characters we've always wanted to play in a modern setting. Roxas has his cool dash ability. They all have their team-up attacks. Kairi gets to do something important. And her moveset is fucking awesome. I want an entire game of it. It's the exact opposite of the way I play Kingdom Hearts, and I fucking love it. Everyone fights together in a perfect ending that somehow managed to improve on the original ending even more, going from Sora dying off screen to Mickey Mouse fighting 100 Xehanorts and with the help of everyone, annihilating him once and for all. Unless you played Dark Road and you think that he has an extra life. They managed to make us cry for Ansem, the seeker of gayness, and Xemnas, the angsty cult leader. Then they turned Kairi into a crystal 2 seconds later. Kingdom Hearts 3 is so vast and so complex, I could make another 60 videos about the insanity that it was. It's a fucking masterpiece and a dumpster fire. If you turn on Pro Mode and you play it on Critical and you remove attractions, it's the most fun I have ever had playing a video game. There are 57 chests in the Pirates level, and you can sail around as much as you want. There's a room in the Pirates level where you get all the Keyblade materials you need. You get a cell phone. People post on Instagram in the loading screen. You cook food with Ratatouille. You take selfies with Sully. You fist bump Baymax. You build a snowman with Anna. It's a fucking beautiful disaster of a fever dream that I never want to wake up from. It was so fucking good. I streamed it with a fever for 10 days straight, called in sick to work every single night, and streamed the Xehanort fight for 8 hours straight. And more important than anything, I mastered and beat the final boss as Kairi. It was beautiful, and I am so happy I got to chat with so many of you. It was a pleasure and a privilege to play this game in front of an audience. At the beginning of my stream marathon, I thought I was going to quit streaming. I felt like not enough people cared about watching me live, and all the energy I was devoting to putting on live shows was gone, that it wasn't worth it, that it gave me too much anxiety and stress, and it was shortening my life. And I was gonna stop. But having spoken to so many fans, playing through Kingdom Hearts 3, truly understanding these games, falling in love with this franchise again, healing the wounds I felt so many years ago, learning how everyone connects to these games in different ways, I feel like now I truly get it. I not only understand the series, but in interpreting it for all this time, I feel like I understand myself. I now realize why I was so upset. Why a grown man couldn't handle that the anime Disney game wasn't gay enough. Why suddenly, out of nowhere, an incredibly outwardly straight-acting man cried about a ship I forgot I even cared about. It's because these games aren't regular games. They are works of art. They are soaked in nostalgia, crafted from pieces of it. A mystery box so vague and so connected to beautiful stories. A franchise that has the balls to make the weirdest swings anyone has ever made, putting the deepest lore of the franchise in mobile games, recreating games the creator lost the rights to, and using fucking pay-to-physics to justify its creation. You can create your own story. You can find more meaning than anyone has ever thought possible. You can ship everyone or no one. You can scream at the top of your lungs, Xion is trans. Axel and Saïx are her gay parents. And Roxas is a pog champ. Maybe there's no romance at all in these games. Maybe it's a fun fable about friends and emotions. About 3 friends growing up and drifting apart 15 different times. Maybe they're in a polyamorous relationship. Maybe everything is a simulation. Maybe Pete and Maleficent want the world that never was castle so that Pete Jr. can have a cool place to live in. And he can upstage Goofy once and for all. Maybe Max was swallowed by darkness doing a sick-ass skateboard trick, and Goofy is using Sora as a surrogate son. No matter what you see when you look at these games, no matter what you imagine is going on when characters are off screen, the truth about Kingdom Hearts is that as long as you have others that care about you, as long as someone out there has ever cared about you, they give you strength. Because the power of friendship isn't some anime bullshit. It's the feeling of someone thinking about you, of someone liking you, of someone loving you, about someone connecting their heart to yours. It's about support. Kingdom Hearts is about support. Sora believed that alone, he was worthless. And so did I. My name isn't Aloney for no reason. It's Tony mixed with alone. What truly matters, what I've realized about this franchise, is that the true power of Kingdom Hearts, the truth about Kingdom Hearts, the true meaning of friendship, is the emotional connection others give us when we support each other. The world might be about to go into a really dark place. There are a lot of very, very, very bad people planning to do some incredibly awful and terrible things. We are on the precipice of total annihilation. And I think we all need to understand that even if darkness prevails and light expires, even if fate destroys us all, as long as we remember the hurt we went through, the love we always keep, and the support we have all seen, we can do anything. We can survive anything. I still like to joke around and say, Riku is gay, get used to it. And I will fight for that interpretation until the day I die. I still believe that Xion being trans is the most beautiful thing in Kingdom Hearts. And despite the way it has come off, I have learned to remove my bias and say that Kairi and Sora's romance is a beautiful thing. And Kairi needs her own fucking game. Not a music rhythm game where she's in it and she's kind of got a minute. No, her own real Kingdom Hearts game. But ultimately, that's not the reason I make these videos. That's not why I gathered you all here with luck and hard work. My goal has always been, and always will be, to escape the terrible, horrific realities of life and help others do the same. Even though I never really picked an anniversary date for this channel, this feels like one. If anyone's still watching this incredibly long and ridiculous video, the script was 30 pages, and when I looked at that, I went, uh-oh, that's way longer than normal. I promise to do everything I can to keep this channel up. I promise that even if I get yeeted off the internet, even if I am removed by YouTube robots and completely forgotten, even if shit happens to me in real life, I will never stop trying to escape reality and help others do the same. Remind was an incredible DLC. Kingdom Hearts 3 is a perfect game. It might even be better than Kingdom Hearts 2. I know, it's blasphemous, but it might be. And I will continue to try to explain this series until the sun explodes or people stop watching. But I will always remember the true power of friendship. Anyway, I'm Aloney the Bard, and this video was a lot. Thanks for listening. Bye. Oh man, for those of you who are still watching, this script took way too long to write. I had a completely different idea for this video last night, but before I made this, just like all those years ago, I wrote and made up this video on a whim, and I hope you liked it. If you missed the stream, I'm doing a Halloween-themed stream in 68 days called Tricks and Treats. It should be a very fun time. Drop on by the Twitch if you want to chat about anything during that time. The last 2 months were a ton of work, and as exhausting as it was to stream every single day for 66 days straight, and make a video every week about every single Kingdom Hearts game, it was worth every moment. All the VODs are up if you want to watch them. They are there for all your cringy convenience. If you want to go back and remember the good times, or watch as I complain about people leaving every time the view counter goes down. Light Cycle Schmite Cycle is probably my favorite. I got stuck in the Light Cycle level of Tron for 2.5 hours straight, and I cut it as its own VOD because it was so goddamn funny. I'm very excited for the future. I have a lot of interesting interpretations of these games and things I discovered during the streams, and I'm working on a lot of dumb side stuff that none of you are probably gonna watch. But if you liked this incredibly long video, here is 2 more. My original video where I explained my heartbreak, and the one that started this year-long return to Kingdom Hearts. I hope you all learned something. Escape reality, and even if you're completely alone, you have connected or will connect with someone. And that's all that really matters. See you loners later. Bye.